Hi, Connor.
Hi, Trenton. He was wearing a guy's face.
He was wearing a guy's face.
Yeah.
You know those like face-off competitions where you like face off to someone? He won. Also, that was the worst cooking show imaginable. There was so much apparent food and no recipes.
There wasn't that much apparent food.
Apparent to at least one of the characters.
There wasn't that much.
What did we watch today?
We watched Silence of the Lambs,
Ooh,
which,
so many screaming lambs in this movie.
talked about, yes.
It didn't actually exist.
Yeah, this one's weird for me, because, like, I don't find it nearly as disturbing as I feel like maybe I should, because, like, a lot of people have talked about how creepy this movie is to me, and,
It is
like,
really creepy.
I think it's kind of creepy.
That's because, like, we also prepped this with 7 because it's higher. And when you watch
That's fair.
7 and then you watch this, you're like, oh, okay. This is relatively mundane.
This is pretty tame.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it actually is slightly more vulgar than 7 was, I feel like.
It is, yeah.
Which is strange to me. Like, I would say that
7 isn't a particularly vulgar movie.
no,
It
is not where it gets you.
It is, I would say, far more disturbing.
And
but,
much more intense.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. But
recommendations.
Yeah.
If you enjoy any of, like, your procedural crime dramas, this is kind of what they're all based on. Like, as far as tone and sort of what they're aiming for.
I was just watching an NCIS There Were Bones episode. That is true.
Yeah, I feel like this is what they're all trying to sort of recreate. So yeah, if you're at all interested in, like, Criminal Minds or CSI or NCIS or any of the hundreds of crime shows I could name, I would say check this one out. It's kind of, again, I think it's kind of the blueprint for all of those.
I completely agree. I think that makes total sense.
Yeah.
It does feel like it. So I would only recommend it to people that fit your criteria and also are okay with being slightly squeamish. Like, there were still parts of this where I'm like, if I were by myself, I probably wouldn't watch it.
That's fair. I mean, this is definitely, it earns its R rating.
Yeah,
like,
it very much.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah. Yes, it steps up to the plate when it comes to R.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't think that it by no means do I think this is the most intense R-rated movie.
Not
like,
at all.
Making you go, like. So it's interesting. I think the R rating probably has the most
movies on the top 250.
Well, no, not just that, but, like, the most range as far as content. Like,
yeah,
because it can be everything from swearing a little bit more than another movie. Exactly. We'll watch Good Will Hunting on this list at some
Good
point.
Will Hunting.
Yeah, and, like, that one's pretty mellow.
Pretty tame for an R movie.
Yeah, there's some.
It's on the edge for sure.
Yeah, there's some sexual talk, and they say fuck a lot in that movie and that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, whatever. And then, like, you can go all the way to not naming movies that we haven't gotten to yet. So let's say 7.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's probably the furthest we've gotten on the list so far.
Or Schindler's List.
Oh, Schindler's List, yeah. Like,
and also those two are completely different R movies.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
there's so much range there. So, like, yeah, I think the R rating is super weird.
There was not any, like, explicit new. Oh, yes, there was. Never mind.
There is, but it's
in a spooky way.
Yeah, and a lot of, with the exception of the one scene which I know you're referring to,
otherwise there's not.
For the most part, it's like it's there, but blink and you'll miss it kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And none of it is supposed to be, like, attractive in any way. Even that scene was supposed to unsettle you some.
It does a good job.
Yeah.
It does a good job.
So,
Does it deserve its place on the list?
I would say yes.
Yeah. 22 or whatever it is right now.
Yeah, and I was talking to my mom on the way over here, and I'm like, the list is fluctuating wildly, which is something
crazy.
Which is something that I would not expect. Like, I was pretty familiar with this list when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
It has stayed pretty stagnant
until this year.
Yeah.
2023,
since
man,
then,
year for good movies.
Yeah, and like even just weird upsets. We're gonna be watching Interstellar for our next episode.
Mm-hmm.
That has sat under Saving Private Ryan basically since it came out.
Yeah, it just passed.
And it just switched with it. Like, it's super weird.
I'm looking forward to that one. I'm gonna have a lot of good thoughts.
But yeah, I would say yes. It deserves a place on the list, and I think it deserves where it is on the list as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything lower yet, so
yeah,
caveats there. I think it deserves top 50 for sure. I just don't know where I would necessarily place it in the top 50.
Okay.
So far, we'll go and talk.
Where does it stack up in comparison to 12 Angry Men?
It's worse. It's not as good as 12 Angry Men. That is just a truth. Actually, I need to go watch that again. You know, it's been almost a year since I've seen it.
I'll let
so
you
I'll need to
borrow
go
it.
Watch it again. I can just go buy it.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
You know, and watch it again. Be like, this is the annual refreshing of is 12 Angry Men still good? And the answer will be yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie.
And it is better than Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
If you haven't seen that episode yet, please go watch it.
And if you haven't seen 12 Angry Men, I mean, it's worth a watch.
Yeah, that too.
I don't think I enjoy it quite as much as you did, but
I like it. Turtle Man. So ratings.
So this one's pretty wild for me. I think it sits at, I'd probably put it as an 8 technical. There are some shots that just don't work for me.
Yeah. There are some weird zoom shots.
And my enjoyment level for it is very dependent on my mood.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not normal for movies for me.
Yeah, there's only a couple that you've mentioned that.
Yeah. And there will be less as we go further down the list. But this one, today watching it, I was probably sitting at a 9, a strong 9 to a light 10.
It's a company.
I just really enjoyed it.
That's good.
I've watched it sometimes and been like, this is like a 6 on the enjoyment level. And so I think a large part of it is because it came out in 1991, 6 years before I was born.
32 years old.
By the time I was old enough to watch it, like I had seen all of sort of the TV shows that the blueprints were.
Exactly.
And I had already decided that I didn't like those. And so if my feelings on those shows ever like sort of creeps in and I just feel like I'm watching an episode of generic crime TV.
Yes.
I get
decreases it.
Yeah, I get really disappointed in it. I'm like, this is a good episode, but like, it's still just an episode of generic crime TV.
There were some really nice things, like, oh, I recognize this specific thing from other movies, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
going and talking about that. For me, I'd probably put it technical 9. Like, some of the shots and stuff were weird, but I felt like it built the ambiance really well, and generally worked out pretty well in its favor. Probably only like a 7, 6.5 in enjoyment. Like, I didn't really like watching the movie.
Okay, that's fair.
It was a good movie, but I was like,
I wonder how much of that is just like across the board when people watch this. How much
first time specifically, like
I think I liked it the first time. I remember the first time I watched it. I was on vacation with my family in California.
What?
And they had all gone to bed.
Family bond? Oh, never mind.
No. They had all gone to bed. And I'm like, I'm going to watch something. So I watched this and American Psycho. And both of those are like...
Are those both emotionally scarring? I've heard American Psycho is not.
American Psycho's not for the faint of heart, but I don't necessarily know that it's emotionally scarring.
That's true, but very little is emotionally scarring for you.
That's true.
So I feel like I'm emotionally scarred from this movie.
Just wait until we get to what is that? Once Upon a Time in America.
Oh, great!
That one will wreck you.
Things about this. It sounds like it's a comedy, so I'm excited.
It is not.
Okay.
No, and that one. We'll get to that one, but like that one for me, I don't know, just something every time I watch it unsettles me to an insane degree.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm hoping that means that like it's the opposite for me, because a lot of the things that like unsettle you
probably won't.
I'm normally good.
Yeah,
that's great. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Spoiler time.
Yeah, I mean I've already spoiled some stuff with the very first line.
Oh yeah.
He was wearing a guy's face.
Yeah, but that could be metaphorical.
Yeah, but now we've made it very clear that it's not.
Could be metaphorical. So this is a spoiler.
Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things.
Do all the YouTube things.
Or the Spotify things or whatever.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah.
Or whatever your podcatcher is of choice.
Yes.
We'd love to hear from you all.
And then leave. If you have not watched Silence of the Lambs, go watch that and then come back.
Or you can stay.
No.
So, summaries.
Clarice is an FBI agent who needs to find a serial killer named Buffalo Bill. She does this by meeting with another serial killer who's in custody, named Hannibal Lecter, who you've probably heard of. And he's played by Anthony Hopkins, and he's great, and then she goes and does it.
By accident. A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Like she's definitely following on it.
Yeah, I know she's doing all
she's following the trails.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, she was being a good detective. Awesome. So we have little baby Clarice, who isn't even an agent yet, is given a very, very monumental task of catching a serial killer, but she isn't told that. It's kind of all just underhanded because she's a woman. And so that's a very strong theme through the entire thing. She's a woman.
Yeah.
Remember that. And
don't forget that Clarice Starling is not a man.
Exactly. And she makes friends with the serial killer to go and find another serial killer who she's less friends with and shoots.
Less friends with. Yeah. Yeah, that's accurate. I will say the assignment, it seems to me, was like, hey, we need someone with a little bit less experience. That particular aspect of it, I don't think was based on her being a woman. Like, there are a lot of things in this movie that are, but I think that
there are other man recruits.
There are other man recruits, but
she's one of like two women recruits.
Yes, but the only thing that we ever get to indicate that she got this job because she's a woman is from a dude that I don't think we trust the judgment of.
He's pretty accurate through the whole movie.
Is he?
Yeah. Except for the killing people part.
No, not him. No, the warden.
Oh, okay.
He's the only one that makes any comment about it.
It reminds me of the second year defense against the dark arts teacher, Lockhart. Yeah.
Oh.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. I can see that.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. That's not really a spoiler.
That's a good point, actually.
But yeah, I think he's the only person who ever mentions it as like, oh, this is why you were given the job, right? Is because, you can get Hannibal Lecter's blood up because he's
always so chill.
Well,
yeah, but also still like she's a student.
She is a student, but like it's established early on, like she is a very
well-performing student.
She's a well-performing student who has a history with the director because she was in one of his classes and did an incredible paper that he remembers to this day. Like, there's definitely some indication. Yeah,
and then she also fails one of the training simulations and gets shot.
That's true.
This is a very large risk. The director man is actually, like, she's fine. She did a great job with what she had. They did a really good job of characterizing her as green.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
She made so many just taboo mistakes during this
Yeah.
entire movie.
Yeah.
But she was the one that needed to be on the case. My
Yeah.
problem is with the director. The director is not a smart man.
Oh, no, I don't think he is. But I definitely think that, like, what I'm saying is I think that her getting the actual assignment had nothing to do with her being a woman or not.
No, it had to be with him being dumb. You're right.
Yeah.
I will concede that.
Yeah.
It didn't have anything to do with her being a woman. I mean, anything, but little less than.
Yeah, and I would say, again, there are a lot of things in this that do have to do with her being a woman, and I think most of them are far more egregious than her getting the assignment.
Sexuality is such a strong theme in this.
Yes, it is.
That I was very surprised for a 32-year-old movie. Like,
yeah. You should watch some movies from the 60s and 70s.
Awesome. Okay. Sounds great.
No, there's, I mean, the free love movement definitely worked its way into those movies. Mm-hmm. So, like, sexuality is very much at the forefront of a lot of them.
Good to know. I was just very surprised.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just very, very interesting.
So I'm gonna jump ahead to themes on this one because we're already kind of talking about it. One theme that I actually found very interesting, and it's the first time I picked up on it, is that the themes of transformation and metamorphosis are all through this movie.
So much so.
Like, and I think the most obvious is at the end after she shoots Buffalo Bill, mm-hmm. and it shows I don't know what that's called, the paper thing that's like floating.
I don't remember what it's called either.
Yeah.
But it has two different images on both sides, or the one image on both sides. And
yeah, a different image on either side, showing the butterfly sort of
flying in different perspectives.
And sort of that showing her transformation from sort of this green recruit to someone who is like an actual FBI agent.
Absolutely.
And like the more obvious is with Buffalo Bill wanting to be transsexual.
Yeah, transform themselves.
Yeah, basically, like it's explicitly stated that he's not a transsexual, but he hates who he is and thinks that makes him one.
Yep.
And so like him sort of trying to force this change that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You watch the what is her name? The girl in the well, the victim.
Alexandra, Catherine, Christy.
I think it's Christy.
I think it's Catherine.
Might be Catherine. I don't know. It starts with a C. And there's even a scene where they say,
"Wow, she's
repeating her name."
Yeah, make her a person.
Make her a person, but we've forgotten her name.
Didn't work.
Yeah, no.
She's a dog killer.
A
dog threatener.
Yeah, but like showing her transition from being sort of just she's the lost dame in the woods sort of archetype at the beginning, and then by the end she's like holding the dog hostage and like ready to kill it.
Yes.
So like watching that transformation, mm-hmm. and like there's so much, and I would say Hannibal Lecter's transformation is not actually like a transformation of his character, but it's a transformation of how we perceive him,
and also of his containment.
Yeah,
like it gets more lax as the movie progresses.
Yeah. until
the
end, where he literally is not contained.
Yes. He can't be.
But yeah, I really appreciated sort of the themes of transformation that I was noticing this time through. Like,
no, they were really good.
I had never picked up on that before. I think partially because it's just far more subtle than sort of the themes about sexism and that kind of stuff, which is very forefront in the entire movie.
Completely. This was like chock full of those kinds of themes.
Yeah.
My favorite theme is my now slight conspiracy theory that the real reason Buffalo Bill is doing all of this was doing orphan cats. 'Cause the first and last victims both owned cats.
That's not a theme.
It is. Cats are a theme.
That's a
Cats,
motif.
Cats are. Oh, you're right. Thank you. But motifs are just small themes in items or in settings. They're themes. They're just mini ones.
All
You're gonna
right,
graduate.
I'll let you have this.
Thanks. So there's a cat motif along with the butterfly theme. No,
No.
the butterfly is also a motif.
Yeah.
For the change that is the theme. That's interesting. Maybe by the end of this, I'll actually have an understanding of what both of those are.
You know, it's wild how much of these kind of things you pick up on, despite the fact that you don't know what you're talking about.
It's very nice. Full of surprises.
Yeah. If you are ready, I would like to talk about Anthony Hopkins' performance in this.
Hop to it.
Because,
Hopkins to it.
no. Because it is absolutely spectacular.
So good.
Yeah. And, like, I understand why this got 2 more movies with him in it. I haven't seen either of them.
Wait, that are follow-ups to Silence of the Lamb?
Yeah.
What?
Well, okay, so Silence of the Lambs was actually a book. And it had other books in a series where Hannibal Lecter was sort of this recurring villain.
Whoa.
Yeah. And a lot of those were made into movies. I know there's Red Dragon and I think one of them is just called Hannibal.
Nice.
I don't know. But again, I haven't seen any of them, but I can totally understand like how watching this performance, someone would just be like, let's make movies out of the other books. And again, I don't know how good the other books were, but
or the other. Have you seen the other movies?
No.
Nice.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that. That's fantastic. He did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
So did Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster. Yeah.
I got it.
She did. Hers was a very different kind of performance, though.
Absolutely, no.
Like,
but they both really went into their roles and understood the assignment.
Yeah.
One of them is very, very intense.
Yeah.
Not much more difficult role to play.
And I would say what's incredible about Anthony Hopkins' role is just how little screen time he actually gets.
Yeah, he isn't there for a ton of it.
Like,
but he commands when he's there.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, he got 22 minutes of screen time in this 2.5-hour movie. And his presence is felt in not every scene, but in most
Majority.
of them.
It's only 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh, is it only?
Mm-hmm. Hour and 59 minutes. I was really surprised that we actually got a regular-sized movie.
Well, with Interstellar for the next episode, we'll we'll be back to
I'm so excited for that, though. I love Interstellar. But yeah, no, he did a fantastic job with the amount of time that he had in this.
Yeah.
Like, it's astounding.
And if I remember correctly, at the time, he won the role for Best Supporting Actor with the shortest performance that had ever been done. He was surpassed by Alec Baldwin when he did Glengarry Glen Ross. He comes in for basically a speech. That's basically the entirety of his presence in the movie.
That's fantastic.
And it's such a great speech that he won an Oscar for it.
That's so good. What's Glengarry Glen Ross?
So that's not on this list.
Okay.
But it's a movie about I don't really know how to explain it. I guess I'm forgetting the term for houses market things.
The stock market?
No.
Real estate?
Yes, real estate.
Nice.
Basically like real estate fraud.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds
exciting.
Yeah.
And The Big Short was exciting. So
Big Short was great.
Mm-hmm.
This probably isn't the podcast to talk about it, but I will say The Big Short, when it came out, it may have been my favorite movie of that year.
Yeah,
like
it was really good.
It was so well done.
Yeah, I think it was the same year as one of the Star Wars, which is weird. One of the newer Star Wars.
No, those don't count.
Exactly. Perfect. So yeah, any other standout scenes?
Not that I can think of. I mean, there's the scene between Hannibal and Clarice when she first goes and meets him.
Yeah. The
Um,
entire scene is just
and there are so many video essays about how the camera is placed in the scene to kind of show the shifting power between the two characters, which is like the most depressing kind of thing to watch when you want to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because you watch that and you're just like, how am I ever going to do this?
Exactly.
Like,
how should I be
this
thinking
is
about
so
this?
in depth. Like, there's no way for me to ever match this.
Yeah.
And then you realize, like, okay,
Oh.
you can make a really great film without necessarily having to have
all
this.
of the artistic pieces.
But, you know, knowing that this is something that you can have in your arsenal is a good thing.
Absolutely.
But it is really discouraging when you first watch it and just go
imagine.
like,
really,
like
this is
the subtlety with which the camera like shifts from like a low angle to a high angle to just kind of make the person feel small or big depending on
what's going on.
And like going to eye level when they're like interacting on an even keel. It's just, it's so cool.
That's so cool. I love that. That's really cool.
You did briefly bring up Jodie Foster's performance in this, which I wanted to get back to because it is really good. And I think what's most powerful about it is actually one of the last scenes where she's going through the basement in the dark.
That entire scene section when the lights go off is astounding.
Yeah. And it is actually one of the things that, like, from a technical aspect, I have a problem with because of just the framing and, like, I feel like the night vision with, like, the goggle outline, it just feels so cheesy to me.
I thought it was really cool. Yeah. No, that makes
everything
sense.
else about it, just, like, the atmosphere is so gripping that I totally get why someone wouldn't be bothered by it.
Yeah.
It just bothers me. But I think her performance in that is really part of what sells it. Because we've watched this entire movie where she isn't completely emotionally put together in every scene, but she definitely sort of portrays a sort of stoic,
and sort of confidence generally throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. Until we get to this scene where she just looks frantic and like completely helpless.
Yes.
And despite kind of knowing, like, okay, she's gonna get him.
Yeah.
Like,
because that's what has to happen.
For that scene, like, it almost feels like, okay, maybe Bill has the upper hand here.
Yeah. Bill was very silly not cocking the gun ahead of time.
Yeah, that is one thing that's bothered me about it, and the fact that he, like, you could see his hand reaching out, and it's like, it's super creepy.
Actually, I kind of liked that because, like, in all technicality, that's the kind of person he wants to become.
Yeah.
Like, and so he's not exceptionally happy about the fact that he actually has to just kill this person.
That's fair.
That's what I was getting.
But we've already seen that he is willing to use brute force.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he's, like, got his hands all around her head and, like, vital areas.
Yes.
And doesn't go for the kill with his hands.
Exactly.
I'm like,
that's a really good point.
Like, that just kind of gets to me where I'm like,
just the normal, like, gun clocking, like that.
Yeah.
No,
like, it's definitely in slow-mo. So, like, the gun cocking doesn't bother me as much.
Oh, no, sorry, no. Like, you could just take the gun and whack her over the head.
Oh, you mean like pistol whipping?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's the term.
Yeah. So yeah, that bothers me a little bit. I hadn't even
thought about that. That's a good, very, very good point.
But again, these are nitpicks in an otherwise great film.
Yeah, it added to the ambiance, and also this person wasn't totally put together.
Yeah.
This wasn't a person that he wanted necessarily to, like, maintain, which is why I think they used physical force as often as they did.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a pretty, like, I don't think it's as sprawling as something like Seven Samurai, but it is still a pretty dense film. And I think there's a lot to get into here. I just don't necessarily know where to start.
I feel like
Again,
we started a couple different times, so I
Yeah.
think we're getting to a point where we've hit a lot of the major things. It is a very well done movie.
Yeah.
And some of the things that it goes and tries to look at, the number that it can put into one movie and not feel heavy in that way, like thematically
Yeah.
heavy, is insane. Like it hits sexism, it hits transformation and sexuality.
Mhm.
Like those are not easy topics to
Yeah.
hit in one movie.
Yeah.
So
And it drills pretty deep into some of them.
yes,
The sexism one is interesting because as prevalent as it is through the film, it feels like it only kind of gets scratched on the surface.
Yeah.
You know, there are some really great moments where, like, one of my favorites is when she's riding in the car with him on the way back and he's like,
Mhm.
you know that I wasn't saying that to try to like get to you
yeah,
or anything. Like, I didn't actually think that. I just needed to get the guy out of there.
yeah,
And she's like, you're basically
undermining
the
my
big
authority. Yeah,
you're the big cops. Like, other cops look
look
you,
up to you.
yeah.
Like whatever
Yeah,
you,
to
whatever
see-
you're doing,
yeah.
they'll be doing as well. I loved that. That was
Yeah.
really, really, really good. Also the one-liners, and this from Hannibal every once in a while.
Mhm.
Like, I love your jacket.
Like, love the suit.
Love the suit. So good. And
Oh,
he has
yeah.
a couple of those just throughout the movie. Like, I have to go and I'm having a friend for dinner. You know? Like,
I'd love to stay and talk, but I'm having an old friend for dinner.
Exactly. And so, like, it's just
so morbid, and I love it.
the
Like,
one-liners from him are fantastic. Like,
yeah.
and the way that he's portrayed when killing people is also, like, again,
Yeah.
his performance is just astounding
Yeah.
and really, really well done.
His ability to switch from just like sort of this unbreakable stone statue of a person
Yeah.
to animalistic violence
It's savage.
is just so cool because he
Yes.
makes it so believable from both sides, and like that, again, that transformation
Yep.
is totally believable.
Yep.
Which doesn't feel like it should be.
Nope.
And yeah,
Does such a good job.
I love his performance in this.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And this is just one of the other things. I had caught the, they're going to wheel him away into the ambulance, like, as soon as I saw the person on the ground, essentially, in my brain.
Yeah.
Because it's a trope that's been used so many times now by
Yeah.
a lot of other really good movies, because it was a really good one, you
Yeah.
know? Like, go and create a mutilated face, put it on yourself for as enough of a disguise. You're about the same build. No one's going to, like, check your height.
Yeah.
And get rolled out of there.
Yeah. I guess I didn't pick up on that the first time I watched it.
It was only because I've seen it done. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
wait, we
fair.
know that he has to leave. Otherwise, it's pointless that we had this entire scene section. So how is he going to leave? That guy's obviously dead. We're not going to do anything with
I
him.
wonder how
He's on
much
the
of this
ground.
is like people who actually sit back and like analyze, okay, why are we seeing what we're seeing, as opposed to people like me who are just like, I'm watching this and waiting to see
I'm
what
experiencing
yeah.
what they're giving me the
Yeah.
first time. Absolutely. No, completely.
Because like my wife, the first time she watched this, was like, the moment the guy was on the ground, she's like, well, Hannibal's gone, so obviously
That's
he's
him.
yeah. I'm like, okay, that's fine. This reveal meant nothing to me.
I love that. And yeah, no, I could see both Trinity and Micaiah would just find it
Yeah.
as a thing. And I think I've been infected a little bit by that. If a story, like, if it goes faster, I normally don't have enough time or don't want to necessarily process it, but it gives me so much time.
Yeah,
The
that's
movie
true.
at certain points was slow enough where I was like, okay, I'm bored for just long enough to think through what the story structure means.
Yeah,
And
that's
now
fair.
I'm here, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine.
I think it was just fast enough for me when I first watched it.
Yeah.
Like, you have all of the stuff happening, and then the blood starts dripping from the elevator, and I'm like, just before I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get bored here in a second,
Exactly.
and you get the blood dripping from the ceiling, and I'm like, where's the blood coming from? And so I think like the moment that happened, I'm like, okay, I'm completely re-engaged. Like, what's gonna happen
That's
here?
fantastic. That's so good. I'm so glad that
So-
we're different people.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Very pleasant.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
this is a good movie.
Yeah, no, like, and again, it is a very well done movie. Like, it has fantastic technical aspects.
Yeah.
The content was disquieting.
Well, yeah,
That's
it's
it.
supposed to be a little
Exactly.
bit.
It's supposed to be a little disquieting, you know? This isn't, it almost hits the uncanny valley of disquieting for me.
Okay.
Like, Shawshank Redemption disquiets you in just an absolutely wrecking way. Like, it highly commits. The 7 even does that. I think I
Yeah.
technically enjoyed 7 more than I enjoyed Sounds of the Lambs.
Oh, really?
I
mean, I did too, but I'm also kind of macabre.
Yeah, a little bit. Is what we love about you. One of the things. Multiple things. You also have nice hair.
Thanks.
And because it commits so strongly to like one central theme and like idea.
Yeah.
And it just hammers in on it.
That's true. Yeah.
This one, like, for one, the benefit is you could go and hit a lot of really cool, complex themes, and it was a really well done movie.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have the emotional weight as much as
I would certainly agree.
newer films and older films. Never mind. Age doesn't factor in.
All right. Well, next week's film is Interstellar,
Thank goodness.
and
Love
you
space.
have seen that one, yeah?
I've seen it at least twice, and I'm looking forward to a third time for sure.
Okay.
I've learned more about black holes recently, so I'm
Oh, cool.
excited.
I get the feeling that next week the roles might be reversed a little bit as far as who knows a little bit has a little bit more of like the fringe knowledge of
maybe
the movie.
Maybe a little, but I don't know like a ton about the movie. But it hits both poetry and science, both of which are things that I adore.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy poetry, but unfortunately, the poetry that I enjoy also just completely drains my life out of me. So,
what does that mean? You're reading zombie poetry?
No, well, no. Usually just very, very depressing poetry. I can't read poetry for very long. It makes me sad.
There's certain music that does that for me.
But yeah, and as far as black holes go, I know basically the stuff that I learned from researching things around this movie. So
that's fantastic.
I know that doing research on black holes for this film actually led to breakthroughs
in modeling
of black holes, which is
so
super
cool.
But I feel like that's something we should talk about next week.
Agreed. So until then, how do we end this?